gander and a hunter and a gatherer. Feel like a traveler.
A simple little cadence. He seems to be making it up as he goes.
From another planet. Hey there. You sure are, my man. It's the jam, my man.
The air from the east is thick with the smell of crude oils, heavy metals and other...
It's a traffic jam for the ages. Harbor gates up the street are shut tight. No explanation given. Workers on strike, scabs agitating, an all-around cluster. Meanwhile, we're all stuck here in long-haul limbo for days upon days upon days. Upon days. Feels like forever. Like I was born on this here roundabout and this was all I ever knew. Just me and the metal and the tires, the oil and the fumes of mazout. Yeah, imagine. It's been a whole week already. So tell me, what do you need? He ain't one of us drivers. I know that. All accounted for. Otherwise, I haven't really asked about that. Been wasting time right here. Keep him busy.
It's easy to see he's telling the truth. He's kept his nose out of the dark stuff.
Analyzing the fundamental structural and psychological conditions of being stranded in the midst of a sea of motor lorries. And their sad, despondent chauffeur. A sense of surprise there ain't more bodies hanging from more trees. Huh? Oh. No, I ain't got any money. They don't want to pay for unfinished work. The bosses, man. Yeah, it sure ain't good for me. Or you. I'd spare... Oh, high-grade narcotics, illegal firearms, stuff like that.
Relax. He's merely joking.
Can't even get a few jokes past you, my man. I've got another haul of found cargo. Mostly, they usually get shipped to Grad in the Occident. Though we've been making headway in the Il Moran market lately. We're pals and all, but I can't just freely hand out the merchandise. The bosses won't be happy. This rockin' beauty. Sure is, like a rash you can't get rid of. You interested in heavy-duty cargo machinery?
A motor lorry, also called a camion, on Caillou and neighboring islands. This one looks roughed up enough to be some sort of found rust bucket.
Good eye, my man. Yup, she's an old one, but reliable. Me and her spent a long time together. Not unless they've illegalized sports equipment while I was on the road.
The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm.
Don't be a stranger.
As you look up, you notice something about the statue. There are some odd indentations on the king's chest piece. Something with great kinetic energy seems to have impacted the cuirass. Someone shot him in the heart. Interesting.
Okay, I can't see it, but I take your word for it. Well, Martinez is riddled with bullet holes. This place saw a lot of action during the revolution. But the statue is recently renovated, so maybe a joke? Target practice or a political statement? If we connect every bullet hole in Martinez to the murder, we'll get an overwhelming amount of loose threads. But then again, we don't really know what we are dealing with here, so... I've made a note. Don't hold your breath.
The king stands high above you, surveying the bay. Even by the standards of the Philippian kings, old sumptuous Philip was known for his profligacy. Well, he blew through the whole national treasury, starting the decline of one of the penultimate centuries. His own maladministration foreshadowed the fall of the monarchy. During the anti-centennial revolution, an end to his family line. Stories have it that he had his bedroom converted into a treasure chamber, where he stored unfathomable wealth. There were whispers he slept on a huge pile of gold-dipped feathers, like some obese dragon, instead of a bed, like a normal person. But wait, you haven't even heard about his fabled cocaine addiction. You see, old Philippe wasn't just good at squandering the national treasury on gold and ceremonial weaponry, he was also a prodigious snorter of nose candy. Cocaine. That's what the revolutionaries said 150 years later, right before they emptied out the royal mausoleum and dumped His Majesty's courtiers said it helped him connect with beneath the cold waters of the Insulindian Bay, thrown there by the revolutionaries. The original was blown apart by communards, then further damaged during the landing of the coalition's airships. During the turn of the century, most historians think the coalition's hasty landing may have ultimately saved the statue, if the communards had more time. Some years ago, a group of liberal, artistically inclined individuals, designers mostly, thought it would be ironic to restore the statue of the most wasteful ruler of Revachol in the poorest part of the city. The statue is supposed to capture the moment it was blown apart, like an instant frozen in time, a rare butterfly trapped in amber, floating on a sea of shit. People in Martinez tend to disagree, as do many prominent art. Philip III, the squanderer, however, with his bronze face up in the air, doesn't seem concerned. Not that he ever did in life either. Small, wrinkled woman does not. The photo, an ambrotype from the turn. It's the warmth of a winter night's fire. Maybe she could. Nothing. Her smile just keeps widening. Her hair is gray like lead. No response wherever this.
Wait. She's just a distracted old woman. Better to leave. Why? I just told you why.
We have a right to hold up and stay frosty, everyone. Cops are here.
You here to fuck with us? Beat the honest worker down. We're here to fight for a cause. Stripes usually have problems with people who have causes. Good. We're fighting for a cause here.
Right to...
Besides, we're not that different. It helps if people see us talking, cops and strikebreakers together. Shows authorities around. Rights of people, rights of workers to have.
His manner of speaking is wooden, the tone of voice bland and uninspired, almost as if compiling replies from a set of learned phrases.
Might be time. Don't let the fat bastards tread on. I don't trust cop. Maybe you should ask them the questions. Like, why we're not allowed to make a living here.
Shame on you!
We have families to feed, you piece of shit.
So do we, Scott.
Union shits are on full strike. Don't think they're going to let you through the gates. I'm trying to meet their fat boss. I know nothing about a murder. Wouldn't put it past these harbor bugs. They'd do anything to stay alive.
Right to work!
It's shameful. Cops doing nothing. You should bring backup, open up the gates for us. Blockading gainful employment for workers is a crime.
We are not picking a side in this.
Pity.
Let us work! When a bunch of ungrateful, lazy cockroaches can...
Beats me. They mumble nonsense about boardrooms and workers' rights, while we
have the right to work!
There's something odd in the way he carries himself. His set of clothing looks vaguely mismatched. The different pieces of the attire seem ill. His shirt is far too small and an unpleasantly tight fit, while the overalls, held up by a belt, seem to fit a man with much more corpulence. He ignores your question, choosing instead to turn to the emaciated workers. Silence is the answer. There's something off here, but he won't say what.
Honest men and women, with rights, to work, to be useful. Not we came here to help the harbor run smoothly in time of...
I have a question. Why do all these men follow your leadership?
You think they follow because I'm big and loud? No.
You've been talking to him for quite a while now. Something is off with this guy. Ask him where he's from.
What's it to you? Am I a suspect? Done no crimes. I only fight for the rights of people. We're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain, in Jamrock. Backgrounds in odd jobs, heavy lifting, cargo hauling, bouncer work. I know the drill. Worked at Territorial. Ring a bell? We're done here. I have a strike to break. Right to work! Things are busy enough. You're going to waste less of my time?
The hulking man oozes stark skepticism.
We were promised work. We'd be in there, working, if the bastards hadn't shut the gates. Main gate's locked. Would take heavy ordnance to bust it open. Could try to get in through the second. And I don't mean the scrawny mess punk either. I mean head measurer. Or whatever he is. Huge Seminese guy standing up there on the overhead passage. Won't let anyone by. The access panel is right bad. Standing on a narrow bridge, he's got a strategically advantageous... I don't know how the Union has a trained killer up there. But that one's no... Like civilized folk, you mean? These native fucks don't...
It would be better for the neighborhood if you went home. At least for now. If you can't get in anyway.
No! They will give up eventually.
Scab?
You're hazy on the notion of a scab. Smell.
A kind of a worm, content with mere survival. They come, they want to do our job for shittier pay. Screw it. Beats me. Somewhere in the ground, I think. Gotta be bloody stupid or freaking evil to scab. Or I guess scared, maybe. But scared of personally, I'd rather beg than scab. If the gentleman shouting on the street came begging, maybe they'd have gotten something. We've explained the matters, but they don't listen. This lot would be reasonable and go home if the big guy wasn't riling them up all the time.
Big guy. He means the leader of the scabs.
I was just messing with you. No one's ever seen a cop scab. Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, let us cop for less money. Speaking of, what brings the RCM here, to the Wild North? Come to see the strife? My friend, I respect the right to roam. The open range awaits. I don't operate in that capacity. I'm not a granter of passage. The passage grants itself.
If it's so simple, why did the scab leader warn you of the guards blocking the way?
I walk right past Measurehead, and go in. Yeah, the 2.5-meter tall Semini supremacist there. Walk right past him. Then go past him again, and you enter the arbor through the office. Está. Don't worry, I'm sure it's not completely impossible. For example, you could best measure head and if, or you could convert to his Semini supremacist worldview. Or, not yet, no. He's incredibly strong. Jean-Luc himself would say the philosophy has proven overly heroic for the scabs to convert to. Not enough intuition. Sure. Murder, huh? That sounds like a lot of hard work. You'd never see me investigating a murder. Of course, Policia. It wasn't me. You can rule me out.
He didn't do it. It's the truth.
Sure thing, my friend. I can help you out.
The coin narrowly slipped.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to throw it like that. It's a thing we harbor folk do, passing around cargo. It was not meant as provocation or ridicule.
Lieutenant Kitsuragi picks up the coin and hands it to you.
Right, always glad to help out the RCM. We're on the same branch, you and I. Humans, I mean, not slithering scabs. You know, serious business. I'm sure the big boss will be glad to.
He's a chatty guy. Wants to talk about the strike. Return once you've met the...
Body betrays your degeneracy.
Yeah, Measurehead. His body totally betrays his degeneracy.
You have succumbed to Al-Ghul. You reek of it. An invisible sword of Al-Ghul emerges from your throat. You cannot see it, but others can. It is making the woman in my company sick. Yes, Al-Ghul.
He means alcohol.
I doubt it. My microcephalic race, so...
It's not good.
It's like a rat crawled into your stomach, got drunk and drowned.
No, you don't. You need to get another drink. Occidental Haplogroup B4 is done giving orders around here. The influence of the ham sandwich race is waning. Jerking motions, signs of a late-stage neurodegenerative disorder. You gave the world eugenics, electricity, and powerful weapons of war like missiles and aerostatic aircraft. You dominated lesser cultures, like the deformed Himians and the inexplicably potato-obsessed Khoikos. But now you will be superseded. Isn't that...
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
There is a button right behind him, just out of reach. It must be the one that opens the door to the harbor.
Enough with this begging. You should leave the stage of history with bring your troops to the Simenang Islands and to Boogie Street, and we will pulverize you. When you are, the walls will be lined with bottles of Al Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the oaths to homosexuality.
There may be a peaceful solution to this. You could internalize Measurehead's race theory. He would take you as one of his own. Well, yes. Why? Don't you want to be a Seminese supremacist? So what if you're not Seminese? You can be. Ask what kind of races there are first. Classification is core to this stuff.
Do you?
There are 3 categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, the servile races. Those are the Simonese, the Areopagite, and the Occidentals, excluding the Mao. A receding genetic pool has led them. You know them by the names of their nation states. The Oranese, the Gotwaldians, and the Königsteiners. My people simply...
Mahoon is a derogative term for first world people of Gotwaldian descent. You're welcome.
The Maun are proof that you can have too much Occidental racial purity and Tassocentric culture. Inbreeding has led to a lactose-intolerant subrace whom no...
Colorful tassels are, let's be honest, not a good sartorial choice for them.
The Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina, the ancient Meteorans of Meteo by the Golden Pisantic Sea, the Suren of Sur-la-Clé, and even the North Königsteiner, the other large Mondial civilization, the Mesk, are too yellow and oleaginous to count as a heroic race. True, they are violent and expansionist, but they have a glandular problem. Overproduction of sebum. Sebum is leaking into their brains, making them listen to El Mariachi music and eat toxic minced meat-based food, which in turn only produces, as proven by the Maun and the Mesk, Occidental type A is in retrograde. The indigenous people of this, the Insulindian archipelago. The Simonese inhabit the southern islands. The Areopagites are the master race of the Ilmaran deserts. The Simonese are descendants of the Areopagites. We came here during a heroic migration from Ilmara to Ansuland. Thousands of years before the lactose-intolerant Mao. The Areopagites are sleek, long-headed. The Simonese are powerful, mesomorphic. The former is an immutable, the latter is perfected and adapting. Together they form the Simeno-Areopagite, or Simeopagite super race. That is all.
Nature was not capable of.
Type B are the unheroic races, amorphous non-competitors of the Great Race.
The Khoikos of Grad, Yugo, Zhimsk, Shest et al. Are what you would call white officer in a suspect description.
To an untrained eye, the Khoiko appear white and pinkish, like a ham sandwich. But look into their eye, pinkness is a racial quality. The Khoiko, The countless micronationalities au grade are all inexplicable.
Wouldn't he be one for ethnostates?
They are microscopic. The Semeno-Areopagite super, its leaders will be the genetic epitome of the Semenese and Areopagite stock. Revacholians, halfway between type A and racial Colbron. Too mixed to know right from wrong.
Is it 82,000 years that we've been recording history? You have very little idea of what is happening, but that seems a little off.
The revolution came to Ravachol from Grad, in Zara's written potato cart. The revolution is fatal familial insomnia, a hereditary prion condition passed from the Khoikhoi to the Occidentals. But not enough of tips. The F are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic maladaptations. They are tortured creatures waiting to be put to sleep. Lesser races like the mosquito, a grotesque mixture of a masked woman and a Semenese man. Only possible if the mother is masked and the father Semenese. The mosquito is born sterile, like a donkey. All they have left is to ride customized motor carriages with hydraulic suspension, listening to aggressive El Mariachi music to vent their impotent despair.
It seems unlikely that two human beings produce genetically sterile offspring.
You are right. You have misunderstood. You lack, then there is the Semino-Koiki Chimera. Are you sure you wish to know of the Semino-Koiki Chimera? The Khoikhoi, as you know, are very servile, especially when they meet the rich man. Racial scientists have toyed with the idea of crossing the Semenese with the Khoikhoi. This will never happen. The Semenese and the Khoikhoi may have similar interbreeding but enough. It is cruel to you understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone. You need to internalize what you have heard here today, then return to me. This clarity does not come in. I cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss, Tibere Vacholian. Your love for disco music and venereal disease? Oh, don't be vulgar. White or not has got little to do with this. The race enigma runs much deeper than that. Mr. Clare is a man of vision and means. He has the will to confront also. To serve is noble. It takes discipline. Of course you are, Revacholian man. Above all, rampant multinational finance still reigning large. Tell me, where have you gotten your love of pathetic? Stop explaining yourself. No one cares about your beliefs. The conversation has moved on. Tell me, offshoots of the Semenese people invented disco while having sex under the influence of cocaine. I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the side products of the inevitable cultural victory of the Semenese race. What you need is to come to terms with extinction and never getting into this harbor.
I don't think anything about this. We are wasting our time.
Your pedomorphic friend is right. You should leave here with your tail.
He does not so much as glance at the object.
Stop showing me your pathetic cup.
He had nothing to do with it.
Racists are generally not very good examples of.
Welcome to Revachol. You hear him yell at a... He must think redheads are immigrants.
I am not like them. I am craniometric perfection. I have taken that your silence betrays your inferiority. You do not have a reply. You should enter a deep race slumber. Perhaps in 4,000 years, there is not... I cannot post...
Not before you get in there and get your ass whooped.
He might have some advice, but you got to at least try to fight Measurehead first.
Welcome to Revachol.
Don't you welcome to Revachol me. My grandfather came here from a 3,000-year-old racist isolationist. Every school of thought and government has failed in the city, but I love it nonetheless. It belongs to me as much as it belongs. It's men like you who keep Revachol divided, making it that much harder for everyone to climb out.
What he means is, fixation on the Revacholian nation makes it harder for Revachol to actually attain self-determination.
Oh, come on, man. I just said, well...
I know exactly what you meant. You think my kind doesn't belong here. But you see, I'm an officer of the RCM. It's actually...
Silence. The air between. Your partner needs backup. Now's your moment to shine.
You two make a cute couple. You know that?
The lieutenant exhales and resumes his regular calmness.
Whatever you say, officers.
He smells of heavy motor oils and his breath of high tar.
Oh man, that's great. Look at that guy go. God damn. Thanks for that, but no, it's not mine.
He doesn't live in Martinez.
It's about biological determinism. Not the most popular topic nowadays, with the coalition in charge and all. You might want to change the topic. That is, bury your head under the sand like common sheep. I'm not the only one. Look, I've read books. The science of racial theory as people who've studied these things say that you and me are superior by design. So Naturally, we Occidentals should be in charge. So, lately we Occidentals have experienced an unfortunate downturn when members of the superior race cease to believe in their innate superiority. They stop competing for resources. The problem? The damn kips are showing a real good game lately. Same with the mosquitoes. And the other introduced species too. They're on the precipice of cultural victory.
Cultural victory? What is this then?
It's what the kips of Boogie Street are going for, right under our noses. And the others too, on the radio. Heard any chansons lately? Heard any motetos or leader? No. Dominating culture is how they plan to win. They say so themselves. It's true. Also, you need to realize the dangers of mixing races. Who knows what might happen if people don't stay in their birthplace? You might end up with a new sub-race, with unknown characteristics, leading to extra competition. That's why you've got to control the offspring. Go right ahead. You may be...
Lieutenant Kisaragi's stern expression remained. Not a lot of moral fiber on this one yet, he thinks, wriggled out of it.
Oh, not much anymore. I'm here to pick up some cargo, but the dock workers are on strike, so it's a sit and wait on your ass situation. Apples.
Apples is exactly the kind of thing you'd say if you had something to hide.
Look, as detective, I come from a long line of lorrymen. I'm here to pick up a load of fucking apples, man. Just regular, Koiko-picked apples.
Damn, you're not gonna get more out of him on this. He's put a...
Oh yeah, they're a big deal. My great-grandfather was a carter, had a royal license and everything. We've tried to hold on to our privileges. Sure fucking is. We have a guild and everything, huh? Very ancient, very prestigious. Hell no, it's a guild. Invitation only. Unions work for the rich fucks. They're trusting street thugs with...
It's clear you like the hard stuff, Brota. Evening falls. The time has come. The vows are blood and flesh. Lower intestine. The term is metabolic fascism, Brota. Many things, but it's mostly about trusting your gut. Who does your gut tell you is the source of Revachol's problems? Yes, them. Women. Women. Men of war. You don't like them. They're insane. Their idiocy needs to be scrubbed off this world with rubbing alcohol. Woo men need to go back to the fucking kitchen. That's what fascism boils down to. The rest is also important. But the main thing is that woo men need to know their stomach truth. You're having a stomach truth because you've said the hard things that others won't say. The good things, you've said them many times. Okay, yes, let's call it that. Good thinking. That sounds much better. Traditionalism. You like the sound of that. You're going to keep your views, right? Keep your views, Brota. There's a slow, painful growl somewhere in your intestine. It is one of betrayal. The tear machine stands in the corner.
Oh, that's the tear machine. It's a machine for tear. You know, you find tear outside, like bottles or whatever, and put it in the machine, then it gives you money. You need a bag, I guess. We used to have some, but we gave them all out, so feel free to use it if you find a bag, though.
You see several packaged raincoats fill a low shelf beneath a display of croissants.
What is what? It's a raincoat. If you want to buy one, then it's only 4 real.
A small cabinet on the wall is their logo is the bloodless rose.
Just ask me if you need anything from Saint Baptiste. We don't stock prescription meds, but we do have Nosafed. Saint Baptiste, you know, the Saint Baptiste Pharmaceuticals, the one that sells meds out of Saint Baptiste.
She is right. Saint Baptiste, the company, derives its name from Saint Baptiste, the city. Itself so named because that's what it is.
I don't know. Let's see. Nosafed is a nasal spray. Dramamine is a really good painkiller. I don't really know what hypnogamma is. I guess it makes you feel less shit. It's recommended to use after lots of partying, studying, or exercising. Welcome to Frit. Feel free to look around or something.
What's that magazine she's reading?
You mean this? This is Pop Stars. It's got, like, famous people in it.
Looks like it also has something called Police de la Mode, featured on page 34. This speaks to you. She pops her raspberry-flavored bubblegum. Her shoulders tense. She shuffles back, only slightly. Bewilderment and repulsion root her in place. The lieutenant frowns at you before turning to the clerk with an apologetic half-smile.
I don't know. Frit? A 7 to 11 grocery store. I think they think that the extra tea makes it funkier.
The story goes that normal Fritta, with 2 T's, a men's workwear shop in Vredefort, was already taken. So when Fritta Retail Inc. grew into a multinational corporation, they had to add...
Okay. I don't really know anything. I mean, I know it's there, but I haven't seen it, so... Not really. No. I didn't know him at all. I don't know, really long.
No need to worry. It's just standard procedure for us to ask around. If you hear anything...
Okay. Uh-huh.
This coin-operated viewer is facing southwest. Its coin slot is full. The metal feels cold and wet under your palm. It looks. A thick layer of graffito covers the lenses. You spell out the word Onuk written on the up. That's Kuno on the lens. Under the graffito, a sea of blues and greys appear. Behind the water lies a coast studded with concrete and reeds. On it, a church on stilts. You know this to be the Star of Pericarnassus, or the Cairo, the central symbol of the Pericarnassian church. The church looks old and weather-worn. Around the large wooden building, this coin-operated viewer is. Why place a tourist attraction in the...
There was a revitalization project in 49. A design studio tried restoring Martinez. They got as far as the street lamps and the statue on that intersection. Then something went sour. I suspect that something was Everard Clare, the union leader. He muscled them out. It's how it usually goes around here. We should have done something about the union 10 years ago. That ship has sailed, officer.
Your money disappears into the coin slot. The curtains on the display open. You lean in to catch the view. It's blurry. Different blues and the lenses shift. The ghost sharpens into an islet in the bay. In the ruins, a man-made structure is visible. A half-sunken sea fort. It looks as if it was abandoned quite some time ago.
Really? I don't have the eyesight to make it out.
This is a wall on the side of an apartment building. Logic error. She is not sleeping right now.
Pig's come to take me out! Trying to snuff me out! Then why are you sneaking up on me like...
DYSCO ELYSIUM. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the Leighton, my maiden name. I meant you, the Revachol Citizens Militia, the police. Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one.
Relax. She meant it in jest.
I'm glad to see you here.
Like steel. There is strength there. If she wanted, she...
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the art...
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines Group. What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild...
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent...
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, or...
The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Revacholian Indo-tribes. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain, Son Baptiste, ELYSIUM, an unknown entity known as Brightest Star.
Why, thank you. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue. And to think, there are years when the group books losses in the billions. Wild Pines employs 72,000 people, all of whom have families that depend on their salaries. It is a tremendous response. They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavour. Vessels you know more than you let on. Certainly it helped, but most of the original Indo tribes have failed or been absorbed. To survive, Wild Pines had to grow and adapt. No suzerain did that. You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments that gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. Why? By throwing off half a century of foreign domination under the coalition.
You'd be shooting yourself in the...
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labour Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiate. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I...
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes, Both times the Union won significant concessions.
Ludicrous even. It's meant.
Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator. Mr. Clare has... There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What... Every worker, a member of the board...
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines Group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the...
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the boyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for... If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and it's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections.
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be fought.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid and your opinion, detective, if I may ask. I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf, I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story. Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but the point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else? Why, yes I am. Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou. We are. And the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor car.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city.
You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich. Before you do, it would be pertinent to ask other questions. Gather more info on this boat of hers.
The boat? No. It is called Cor de Leyte 19 because that's the type of sloop it is. My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman.
Officer, I assure you I'm up.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Good. Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment.
How curious. Why is that, Detective? I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? I can't hear you, darling. Speak up, please. Oh dear. Some kind of encephalopath. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you get.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more.
She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
Of course. But before we do, officer, the situation is extremely volatile. The sooner we can speak about this lynching business, the better for all of us.
Is what you want to say, but it isn't that easy. Look at that lady. Take a gander. Squint your eyes, bub. Why, yes, tucked away under that sturdy green raincoat, while dull orange pearls hang from her. These are the kind eyes of the rich man that seem to say, within reason. Now look at you, you misery-clad simian, barely able to tie your own. You're poor, poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. You're too. Yes, you're too ashamed to ask this person for money. Too scared to belittle yourself.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't. Of course, Detective.
sturdy metal door. The door rattles against. The door rattles again.
Stop banging on the door. I'm not letting any more strangers inside. The police? Everyone knows the police don't come round here. No, I already told you. Go check the backyard door. Maybe someone there will.
Backyard door. There must be another entrance to the east.
Madame, I assure you.
There is no.
The streets will flow red once more. A great torrent.
The streets will not flow red with anything.
I'm Cindy the fucking Skull. What else do you want to know? Date of birth, blood type, the last time I was tested for Hep C. And here I was trying to be polite. Just can't win with you pigs. Can't you tell? I'm painting a beautiful... I haven't really started it yet. I'm waiting for the right words. Have you ever tried your hand at graffiti-o? When faced with a blank wall, most people write unimaginative stuff, like pigs go home, and we rarely see pigs round here though. This place is severely lacking. I thought I'd mix it up, yeah? Thanks. I'm sure.
She means the opposite. She turns her head to face the coast and nods disdainfully. Hatred, disgust, it's difficult to tell which of the two.
That is on her.
The woman on the boat does not notice her staring. Ozon is an archipelago.
On a first-name basis with her, are we? Piggy's moving up. It's where they grow whores like her. And their home. Have you got a crush on her? Aching for... I ain't no snitch, Pigstein. Go forth and forage in someone else's shit. No...
Actually, there is a shortage of people who talk to us in the north.
We weren't put on this earth to make your life pleasant. Watch your back.
Advanced race theory. Everything is calm in the eye of the race storm. Your mind is lucid and bright. The mind-bending phylogenetics appear more distant and, to be fair, a little ridiculous. The great race mystery has cleared up. All that's left to do is verbalize your thoughts. Go and talk to Measurehead about your newly found insights. The display rack is brimming with worn paperbacks featuring an extremely rows and rows of Heimdall men blur your vision. You make maybe 100. Man, not even close. Man from Heimdall in hell. Man from Heimdall.
Oh, man from Heimdall. Blood and violence, scantily clad women. What does it matter? They're all the same. However, the customer is all... If you're a novice of the series, I'd recommend Heimdall...
A small mountain of color, an endless variety of source books, lore books, and there's also a large hardbound tome with intricate cover art, The Hunt, books in a board games. There's a box that says, Wirral, 3rd edition. That price is steep, but then it's the 3rd edition mega. You see a set of tattered curtains blocking the...
Excuse me, officer. The back room is strictly for employees only. Nothing. Now please go back to browsing the books. Don't you feel compelled to look at the books? The book...
She speaks almost as if she's trying to put a spell on you. Oddly enough, the more she tries to draw you away from the curtains, the more alluring they become. You see some kind of charm, an irregular polyhedron assembled from bones, sticks, and straw. Inside, this is a traditional Seminese ward, meant to provide protection against ill luck, bad inhabitants. Aside from poking at it, a couple of spook novels, crime fiction is a disgrace. And as these books greatly overstate the excitement of police, what's more, they completely ignore the psychological, not a single mention of all the stress this work creates upon the officer's family. Detective, you see Dick Mullen on the job. Get me Mullen. The stalwart adventures of Rich. A killing is declared. Dick Mullen in the murder house. The final case of Dick Mullen. An obvious lie. Oh no. Turns out he faked it to solve a case. Yes, there's also the dame who did it. Farewell, my Mullen. Tragedy calls for Dick. After all this, you still haven't found the answer to the one question that matters. Who is... This bookstore is not strictly about... Amidst the various books, you find one written by... These 3 things are very important. The point of the book, and many others on this shelf, is that it serves platitudes, while also telling everyone that traditional medicine, the kind people don't have, wholeness, unity, balance, on the other hand, can basically take care of anything. When it's up to your mind to heal yourself, then it's because of your mind that you're ill. The book features chapters on topics such as how to find magnesium. It even lists plants. There's even a chapter on the ancient Seraïs tradition of using duck gallbladder. This is just mundane garbage. What's even paranatural about this? The throbbing in your head increases with every passing moment you gaze at this shelf. Suddenly, as if out of nowhere, a small green book becomes apparent. The title of it reads, the book contains descriptions of various pseudoscientific therapy. For example, it recommends vigorously swatting one's naked body. It is supposedly invigorating and good for the soul. It also recommends consuming distilled spirits like vodka or whiskey that have been aged in the pail. Readers are instructed to cover these jars. Among other benefits, it is alleged to restore a damaged liver to perfect. That seems improbable. Is it any more improbable than anything else that for general health and well-being, readers are encouraged to take regular strolls through the Pale. Though a sidebar cautions readers these strolls promise to cleanse the mind of warriors and the body of toxins. This is exactly what you need. There's an entire section devoted to cures for men who are struggling to perform them.
Excuse me, sir. I believe you've been perusing that particular volume long enough. If you'd like to continue reading, I must insist you buy it.
Several maps have been attached. The maps look old and faded. This large map displays Ozon, Laurentide, Fas Alamir, disintegrating. In the northeast, a dust mite stands on the north coast of Caillou in a bookstore. It's Yucan on Caillou, Revachol. 850 million people live on these little dots. And the ocean breaks apart into a tangle of cosines and azimut connections to other worlds. Words past the Insulindian. Unknown. You have little idea what they are. Distant stars, gods. But looking at perhaps they are God. The north coast of a verdant island is shattered. To the east, rolling hillsides, Le Jardin, Stella Marie, Coudon. It's somewhere to live. Not bad. It's so small you can't even see it on the map. No, wait. There it is. North of Jamrock. The strip of... No. This is some... It's not really a map. It's a tourist thing. Still, it's detailed. Could be...
I'm sorry, officer. The map of Martinez is the only one available. The other two, they're quite valuable, though they might not look it. The map of Martinez, that old thing, it's an out-of-date map of a tourist loop from when some design studio people tried to spruce the place up 4 or 5 years ago.
The place does not look like a successful tourist.
They didn't get that far, for some reason. A shame.
The plaque on the shelf read, browsing through all the books with all the... Suddenly, a particularly high-speed love chronicles the romance between next to Irv's life story. You see a slim biography. Next to that, Revacholian radio personality Guillaume Bevy.
I really must insist you buy one of the books. Reading them is not for free. I'm sorry, I did not mean to rush you. You are browsing. Go ahead. I would say... a very influential historical figure. But the book is also very Certainly, it's prudent for a...
You feel like you should get this one. Definitely. It's important.
Welcome to Crime, Romance and Biographies of Famous People. Be welcome, and please take responsibility for the energy you bring into this space. Sir, don't be ridiculous. I certainly will not give you money. I would be One has to earn one's success, even if one is a police officer.
Certainly there are good things to be said about dependence.
Oh my, of course. What a man. I am the proudest owner of our little... Cursed? Who said that? Annette? I will have a word with her.
What in God's name is she talking about?
Annette, yes, my daughter. I hope she wasn't slacking off again with her nose in science fiction. Wonderful! Did you talk to her? Great! On a scale of 1 to 10, how compelled were you to buy books after talking with her? My precious, her dedication brings joy to my heart. If you have children, I hope they turn out as great as my Annette. As a young girl should be. With the proper attitude.
The woman before you scans the store.
Goodness, you were already doing good, browsing.
She smiles.